Have you ever felt like your relationships were going down the drain, without knowing exactly what you're doing wrong? You know those situations where you ask yourself, why can't anyone stay by my side for long? This is more common than it seems, and the truth is that, often, our attitudes, which we don't always realize, can be pushing people away from us. Believe me, sometimes we are so immersed in our own routines or feelings that we fail to see that we are, unintentionally, putting barriers between ourselves and the people we love. This can happen in any type of relationship. Romantic, friendship, or even within the family itself. The most frustrating thing is that, often, we don't even realize these attitudes and only realize their impact after people have distanced themselves. In today's video, we're going to talk about 10 things that you may be doing, without realizing it, that are destroying your relationships. I'm going to share real and very detailed examples, so that you can identify with them and understand exactly what may be happening in your interactions. So, if you've ever found yourself thinking, what could I be doing differently? Or how can I improve my relationships? This video is for you. We're not only going to talk about these attitudes, but I'm also going to give you practical tips on how to improve and strengthen your bonds with the people around you. So get ready for a reflection that will help you be a better version of yourself and strengthen everything around you. Stay tuned, because I'm going to show you how small changes can generate big results in all your relationships. Let's go! 1. Lying all the time. Example. Imagine that you promised your friend that you would help him organize an event on the weekend. But, deep down, you had already arranged to go to a concert with other friends and didn't tell him anything. When he realizes that you lied, perhaps because of a photo on social media, he gets hurt and starts to feel undervalued, thinking that you don't care about the friendship. His trust in you starts to disappear. Why it happens? Lying may seem like a quick fix to avoid conflict or disappoint someone, but deep down, it erodes trust. In any relationship, trust is the foundation. When you lie, the other person feels betrayed, and this leads to emotional distance. Lies, no matter how small, create a barrier between people, and over time, they can distance themselves from you, no longer trusting your words or actions. How to avoid it? Be honest, even if the truth is difficult to tell. Honesty will strengthen your relationships in the long run, because people value those who are transparent and truthful. 2. Being too jealous. Example. Your partner is going out with friends, and you start asking all the time, who are you going with? Is there going to be someone I don't know? Why do you have to go alone? The person starts to feel controlled, as if you don't trust them. She tries to explain, but the situation becomes so uncomfortable that she starts to avoid going out with you. At some point, she may even start to question how healthy the relationship is. Why this happens? Jealousy comes from a feeling of insecurity. The person feels like they could lose the other person, and this makes them want to control every move. However, this makes the partner or friend feel suffocated and without space to be free. When jealousy is excessive, the relationship becomes toxic and people start to distance themselves so as not to feel trapped. How to avoid it? Trust is essential. If you are insecure, talk openly with the person, but avoid asking or questioning everything they do. Remember, each person needs freedom within a relationship. 3. Not giving enough attention. Example. You are spending the day with your partner or friend, but you are constantly on your cell phone, answering messages, scrolling through social media, or watching TV. Your friend starts trying to talk to you, but you respond without much interest, distracted. Then, he or she starts to pull away, saying that he or she feels ignored and that he or she is more present in online conversations than with you. The person starts to wonder, does he or she really value me? Why this happens? In a world full of distractions like cell phones, it's easy to stop giving people the attention they deserve. But the lack of attention makes the other person feel unappreciated and, over time, the person will start to pull away because they feel like they don't matter to you. Everyone likes to be heard, and when we're with someone, it's important to be present in the moment. How to avoid it? When you're with someone, put your cell phone away, listen carefully, and show interest in what the other person is saying. Small gestures of attention can make all the difference. 4. Fighting over small things. Example. Your partner forgot to do something simple that you asked, like picking up an ingredient at the grocery store. Instead of letting it go, you start complaining about how she never remembers anything and that this always happens. She feels attacked and starts to get defensive. What could have been a calm conversation turns into a huge fight. In the end, both of you get frustrated and start to distance yourself, because the tension in the relationship has increased. Why this happens? When we start fighting over the smallest thing, we lose focus on what really matters in the relationship. Often, what is behind the fight is not the mistake itself, but the accumulation of frustrations. But these constant fights only wear down the bond between people. How to avoid it? Be patient and avoid turning small mistakes into big problems. If something bothers you, talk calmly, without yelling or attacking the person. Healthy communication is the key to resolving disagreements constructively. 5. Being dishonest. Example. You did something you shouldn't have, like taking something from your partner's work without asking. When she finds out, you deny it or try to hide the truth, saying it wasn't you. The person starts to realize that you're not trustworthy, and this creates a huge rift between you. Even if it's something small, the dishonesty has undermined trust, and now the person will start to pull away because they don't know what to believe anymore. Why this happens? Dishonesty destroys trust, and trust is essential to any type of relationship. When you're not honest, the other person starts to question your intentions and becomes afraid of being hurt. This makes them want to distance themselves from you. How to avoid it? Be transparent and honest, even when it's difficult. Acknowledge your mistakes and show that you're willing to fix them. People respect people who take responsibility for their actions more. 6. Not knowing how to apologize. Example. You said something rude to a friend in a moment of anger, but instead of apologizing right away, you think it was no big deal and move on as if nothing had happened. Your friend on the inside feels hurt and begins to feel devalued. He may even try to talk to you about what happened, but you ignore him, making him feel even more distant. Little by little, the friendship cools down. Why this happens? Sometimes pride gets the better of us, and we don't apologize because we think it will make us seem weak or guilty. However, the simple act of apologizing can restore trust and affection in the relationship. How to avoid it? Acknowledge your mistakes and apologize sincerely. A genuine apology can heal many wounds and show the person that you really care about them. 7. Being too critical. Example. Whenever the person does something, you are there pointing out flaws, whether in their clothes, the way they speak, or even the way they act. For example, she does something simple like cooking dinner, and you say, "Oh, you could have done it differently, that didn't turn out very well." Over time, she starts to feel insecure and unappreciated, until she starts to avoid situations where you might criticize her. This makes the relationship uncomfortable. Why this happens? Being too critical makes the other person feel constantly judged and inferior. Instead of helping, destructive criticism makes the other person withdraw, and the relationship becomes increasingly distant and uncomfortable. How to avoid it? Be more gentle. If you need to give advice, do it in a constructive way, showing empathy. Positivity and support are much more valuable than constant criticism. 8. Not supporting someone when they need it. Example. Your friend is going through a difficult time, perhaps at work or in their personal life, and when they come to you to talk to you, you simply don't give them the attention they need. You say something like, "I've been through this before, there's no reason to be like this." This type of reaction makes your friend feel even more alone and undervalued, and they start looking for other people for support, no longer wanting to count on you. Why this happens? When we don't offer the necessary support, we show that we don't care about the other person's well-being. Support is what strengthens the bond between people, and without it, the relationship loses strength. How to avoid it? Whenever someone needs support, be genuinely present. Sometimes, a simple "I'm here for you" is enough to show that the person can count on you. 9. Not respecting the other person's space. Example. You're always wanting to be together, but you don't give the person space. This includes constantly sending messages or even showing up unannounced. The person starts to feel like they don't have time to themselves, and this starts to create discomfort. The worst part is that, by not respecting their space, you start to suffocate the relationship and the person starts to avoid being with you. Why this happens? Although it is important to be close to the people we love, everyone needs space to breathe. Not respecting this can make the other person feel pressured and, over time, they will want to distance themselves. How to avoid it? Respect the other person's time and understand that everyone has their own needs and limits. Showing that you respect the other person's space creates a healthier and more balanced relationship. 10. Making promises and not keeping them. Example. You promised that you would help your partner with an important task or go to an event together, but in the moment, you simply ignore the promise, leaving the person aside. When this happens repeatedly, trust begins to disappear. Your partner feels frustrated and begins to doubt your seriousness in the relationship. Why this happens? Not keeping promises undermines trust and shows that you don't value the commitment you made. Over time, the person begins to believe that you don't take things seriously, and this can end the relationship. How to avoid it? If you promise something, keep it. If you can't keep it, let them know as soon as possible and explain why. Keeping your promises shows responsibility and respect for the other person. Well, folks, these are some of the attitudes that can destroy your relationships. The most important thing is to recognize when we are wrong and take steps to improve. Healthy relationships need trust, respect, and love. If you liked the video, leave a like, share it with anyone you think needs these tips, and subscribe for more content like this. See you in the next video.